And hello, you're welcome to another edition of the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Thank you so much for making time to join us. When I come back, I'll give you an idea of what we'll be discussing today, and then I'll have my usual guides with me. Stay with us, we'll be right back. And you're welcome back to the Voters Diary. You can join our conversation today. You can send us a message. Remember to add the hashtag voters. Send us a message via Facebook or Twitter. And if you want to send us a message via WhatsApp, the numbers are currently on your screen. So what will we be talking about today? So every region, there are a couple of constituencies, the major political parties fight neck to neck to gain those seats. So they will be looking at such seats across the country, but we'll be starting with the central region. I'll be doing this with Seloma Donu. He heads our features and articles department here at City FM and City TV, as well as Kojo Akoto Boateng. He's the head of new media at City FM and City FM. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
I hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, well, the weekend was good.
Because you're already traveling, or you chop for Accra, or you didn't get SAF to travel?
I did a bit of traveling within the city, the Kwabenya area, Brekisu Road, and Amanfrom to Lakeside, to Nanakrom Road, to Santor. Yes, I wonder
what your bill is for every week.
It's a diesel vehicle. It's a diesel vehicle.
Or
you don't spend as much. You know, diesel vehicles, you don't spend as much.
Okay, gentlemen. So today we're looking at constituencies that, you know, the major political parties usually go neck to neck, or usually see very slim margins and all that. And I think we should start from the central region. And then as we go along, we'll move to other regions. But before we do that, could I'll start with you to give us a general idea of this region, why it's a key region for both political parties, the constituencies, the numbers, among others. Then we'll look at those constituencies that give both guys a run for their money.
Well, we've realized that the central region has a mind of its own. If you check from 1992 all the way to 2016, usually the party that wins the central region wins the national elections. So 1992, NDC won. They won the central region. It was a big win for them. 222,000 votes against the NPP's 86,000 votes for the presidential. In 1996, the NDC won. They won the central region. They got 230,000 votes. NPP got 259,000. In the year 2000, NPP won the presidential elections. And this time, guess who wins the central region? It's the NPP. They got some good votes, 269,000 votes against the NDC's 237,000 votes. So that was the first round. In the runoff, NPP won again the central region. And then you come to 2004, NPP won the presidential elections, and they won the central region. You come forward to 2008, and things changed, right? Now, the first round of the 2008 elections, the NDC won. Fast forward to 2008 runoff, NDC won. So NDC won the general elections 2008. They won central region both in the first and the second rounds.
Confirming your earlier submission on what the region can tell.
And then you come to 2012, NDC won the general elections. They won the central region. So the party that wins the general elections, presidential, will win the central region.
Likely to win.
Now 2016, in fact, let's not use likely, because per the trend, the party that wins presidential wins. Yes. Now 2016, NPP wins the general elections presidential, and guess who wins central region? Is the NPP. So whichever party wins the general elections presidential, they win the central region as well. So that's why it makes the central region interesting. There are some regions which we've established as being core to certain parties. So since we started recording the electoral figures, let's say since 1992, Ashanti has always voted for the NPP. So when you're looking at the figures, you won't say it's a swing region. It's entrenched in the NPP.
It's what it is, a voter,
now,
the NDC.
yes, you come forward to the year 2000 and the Eastern region joins the Ashanti region as NPP regions, and they've stuck with the Ashanti since. If you check the voter has been won by the NDC since the 1992 elections, and the voter region keeps winning the NDC elections. If you even do a breakdown of the constituencies and you check very well, of the regions and you check very well, Ashanti Eastern have always been majority NPP, strongholds for them. Voter has been a stronghold for the NDC, and the regions up north, you look at the northern region, upper east, upper west. Now with the 16 regions, later in the course of the voters' diary, as we get closer to the elections, when we break down the 16 regions, you see that even though when we had only 10 regions, they were always winning. If you look at the data of the 16 regions, you'll be seeing the strength of the MPP as you go to the northeast. And then the strength of the NDC as you stay in the northern and the savannah. So the data shows us different things, but central region there, it's always been the swing region. You win the general elections, you win central region.
You'll take it.
Or you win central region, you win the general elections.
Okay, but what are their numbers in terms of the voter population? If you can give us a breakdown of their numbers in terms of the voter population and as compared to other regions, their numbers. Okay, so the central region voter population numbers is quite interesting. Let me just start from the 2016 elections, and then we go to the previous years. Now, if you look at the 2016 elections, the total vote cast in the central region was 949,000, and total valid vote was 933,000. The NPP out of this won 496,000, and the NDC won 405,000. So that's just to give you a general sense of the numbers when it comes to the central region. But historically, as we've established over the conversations that we've had, central region numbers have been improving with time. So, for example, if you check the chart, central region this data is interesting. In the year 2000, it was the 8th populated region when it comes to voter numbers. In 2000.
And then in 2004, it became the 7th most populous region, right? Out of the 10. Now, it maintained the 7th all the way to 2016. Now, the 2019 voter registration numbers that we got, they moved from 7th to 5th. And with the latest data for the 2020 voter register, they are now at 6th. So the region's population keeps increasing. They used to be a bit low, but now they've come up and they've crossed the 1 million number. They are now around 1.54 million registered voters. So the number has increased for the central region. And because it's a swing region, urbanization from the Greater Accra region. So as you go westwards from the Greater Accra region, you realize that parts of the central region have merged with the Greater Accra region and have become part of the Greater Accra metropolitan area. So places like the Kaswa area, Utu Senyais and all those places, they become part of the Greater Accra region. So the region has urbanized over the years, and urbanization trends also sometimes affect the trends of voting depending on the needs of the people and what the parties are telling them. So that's basically a bit of the central region. You go down south central region, you have the coastal communities, which are the typical fancies, if I can say that. You go to the north, then you have the Ahabem for those getting to the forest area, and let's say hybrid fancies, because they are the bridge between the central region and Ashanti region. They are a buffer zone of sorts. So you realize that the pattern there is also a bit different. You have them speaking less of the typical authentic Fanti. You hear a bit of the Asante tree mix and the Fanti, and their lifestyles are also a bit different. Whereas those down south, majority depend on fishing and related trading activities. Those up the region also depend on other things, including mining, as you go high into the central region. So that's a bit about the central region and how it's the whole region is.
So now, Salom, we'll rope you in now and look at the performance in that region, starting with the presidential. We can start with 2016 and see what the performance was in that region for the presidential elections between the two major political parties. We know, of course, the MPP won the elections, but what numbers were we seeing with that region?
Yes, even before I go there, I mean, could you said a number of things about the region?
Yeah.
So the region essentially behaves like the Greater Accra, BA, and Western region. Greater Accra, BA, Central, Western, they tend to be the swing regions. Central region has come up for mention many times because it appears when they are moving, all of them, like a lot of them move at once. So the rate at which or their swing is steep, if there's any expression like that. So it's very palpable how they swing. A number of things to happen in that region in the last election, for example. So we've had instances where people vote skirt and blouse. When you look at the national data, while Ashanti region had just one case of people voting skirt and blouse, as in Asawasi, where Nana Akufo-Addo won the presidential and Muntaka Mubarak of the NDC won the parliamentary. In the case of the central region, we had 5 of the skirt and blouse situations, and that's the second highest apart from northern region. So constituencies like Ibra, Asebu, Kwamankesi, Agona East, Jumako, Inyang, Siam, Cape Coast South, and Ikumfi, all had different candidates for presidential, different winners for the presidential in terms of party affiliation, and then different winners for the parliamentary in terms of the parties that the current MPs, as we speak, represented. So that, I think, is an interesting thing to look at when it comes to the central region. So yes, the issue about the numbers, I'm trying to just pull that one out quickly. But when you just my machine is just right. So when you look at the region, you have in all 23 parliamentary seats, and the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo in the presidential election garnered 496,668 of the total vote cast, representing 53.22% of the votes. John Mahama of the NDC won 3 constituencies, and the total vote cast, the total vote garnered came to 405,262, representing 43.43% of the total votes cast. Interestingly, when you look at the two percentages for MPP and NDC, 53.22 and 43.44, it is not very different from the national average or the national figure, except for the fact that the NDC under John Mahama made 44.46% of the national vote. So the central region very much mirrors the national population. In other instances, you can have a party winning the region, but the gap or the difference is not that huge. But in this case, we have 53 to 43%, which is almost a 10 percentage point, and that is quite huge. So we have 23 seats in all. The NDC won 4 of those seats, and the MPP won 19, and that is quite a huge number if you look at it.
Okay, so 2016, quickly, the dynamics that led to that performance from the MPP and the NDC.
Well, a number of things have been said. Issues of leadership at the regional level, issues of campaign resources, issues of apathy, some call it, issues of disagreement and bickering at the constituency level, for example. These were issues which led to the NDC's downfall in that region. So, for example, in the Kumfi constituency, it's been said that there were issues between the NDC candidates and its constituency executives. So, Abeku Krenzel couldn't do well then as the sitting MP because there were clear issues between the constituency executives and the candidate's own camp, to the extent that the issue even escalated to the regional, and they were unable to deal with them or solve them amicably. So that, in essence, worked against the party there. In Kumfi again, Ekunfi is the hometown of former President Mills. And in 2012, they voted for the NDC, not sympathy votes. I mean, it's always been an NDC stronghold apart from 2016. So John Mahama won there. In 2012, Mills won there because that's his hometown, so it was to be expected. In 2012, John Mahama won. But in 2016, the campaign dynamics changed a bit. If you recall, around those times, we had certain posters. I mean, most of them put out in the night about who killed Professor Mills, with somebody in a shadow with a knife trying to stab somebody, I mean Professor Mills or somebody. So that propaganda or that particular narrative, should I call it narrative, that propaganda worked against the NDC because it appeared they didn't find who killed Professor Mills. I'm not sure whether it was an issue about finding who killed the good old prof, but that was actually played in that constituency, so much that it didn't matter anymore what the NDC said, despite the fact that the E-blocks, the community day senior high schools, I mean, one of them, or I think was it the first one, was actually built in that area. But those things, coupled with a number of other, local issues, made the NDC fall in that constituency. So various constituencies had their issues, coupled with the national issues about the NDC and the MPP. So one other issue too was about the campaign structure. So for example, we understand Atu Forcing, who is MP for Ejumako, for example, was the man in charge of the funds. And so you have a national chairman, a regional chairman, who is supposed to ordinarily be leading the campaign in some respect, now having to come to a member of parliament, somebody he's ordinarily supposed to be an umbrella over for money, so that particular dynamic didn't work so much. And so a lot of other things happen in respect of that. And people think that those small issues, together with other things, worked against the NDC in that region. Okay,
so let's look at the constituencies that typically both parties come close. There's no clear, winner till the battle is really over. You can't tell, and then start taking them one by one. So could you, if you can run us
through Selom mentioned the Ekunfi constituency, where in 2012 the NDC got 68.8% of the presidential votes. NPP got 28.9% of the presidential votes. And then in 2016, NDC got 54.62% of the presidential votes. NPP got 42.18% of the presidential votes. Now, if you do an analysis of the figures from 2016, the vote difference between the NDC and the NPP, even though it dropped from the 2012 number, was still high, 12%, right? 12.4%. So you can safely say that it's a deep green seat for the NDC in the central region. You can say that even though they lost some votes due to all the various factors, it's a stronghold of the NDC in the central region. Now, the other constituencies that the NDC won in the central region in 2016, the Commander Edina Eguafo Abrem constituency, the NDC won that, but the percentage difference between their votes and the closest opponent, which is the NPP, was just 7.2%. Right? NDC also won Ebra Asebu Kwamankese, and the percentage difference was 1.21%. And the vote difference, actually, that's the constituency in the central region that had the lowest vote difference in 2016, was 529.
Only 529?
Yes, only 529. Now, the other thing about Commander Edina Eguafo Abrem constituency, if you look at the votes, NPP got 20,000, NDC got 24,000. The other parties got about 12,000 votes. And a chunk of that 12,000, about 10,000 actually, came from the PPP, because that's the home constituency of Pakwesi Indum. So it shows you why, even though the NDC won, the margin was that low. Now, so in the central region, we have a strong green constituency, which is Ekunfi, and this is with respect to the 2016 results. And then light green constituencies, which is Commander Edina Eguafo Abrem and Ebra Asebu Kwamankese. Now, when you move to the constituencies the NPP won, they won Ejumako Enyan Esiam. The difference was also very slim, 680, just 680, and the percentage was just 1.43%. Now Cape Coast South, NPP won, Mfantseman, NPP won, Gomwa West, NPP won, Gomwa Central, NPP won, Agona East, NPP won, Gomwa East, NPP won, Asin North, NPP won, Ewutu Senya West, NPP won, Chifo Atimokwa, NPP won, and Cape Coast North, NPP won. Now all these constituencies I've mentioned, even though the NPP won, the percentage difference was less than 10%. In fact, the highest they got in these light blue constituencies was the Cape Coast North, where the percentage difference in the votes was 8.62%, and the vote difference is 3,362. Now, sometimes when you look at just the vote difference, it may trick you a bit, because you say, oh, so the vote difference between NPP and NDC is 3,362. But when you look at the total votes, NPP got 20,000, NDC got 16,000. So when you strike, you find the difference and you find the percentage, it gives you a better sense of the part of the whole that the party won. Then you come to the strong NPP constituencies based on the 2016 election. There is a Esikuma Odobin Braka constituency. They won with a vote difference of 5,181 and a percentage of 11.02%, so it's above 10%. Ewutu Senya East, which is part of the Greater Accra metropolitan area, very urbanized and still urbanizing. The difference was 8,670. The percentage was 14.59. Agona West, also close to Greater Accra region. If my understanding of, no, Agona is not close to, it's the Gomwa people who are close to Greater Accra region. Agona West is 9,934 vote difference, and the percentage is 18.02%. And then there's Heman Lower Dencha. Vote difference is 4,734, but the percentage is 18% because the total number of registered voters in that area is not that as big compared to Ewutu Senya and the rest. Now there's Efutu. The vote difference was 8,501. Percentage is 22.99, almost 23%. Upper Dentra West, vote difference is 7,038. Percentage is 25.67%. Ascent South, vote difference is 10,486, and the percentage is 26.73%. Upper Dentra East, 11,206 vote difference, and the percentage is 27.98%. And Ascent Central, the vote difference is 8,334, percentage is 29.11%. In Ascent Central, the NPP got 18,000, NDC got 10,000. And the other parties got 294, just 294. And the total valid vote was 28,000. So it tells you, even though the number was not big, the NPP got 18%, which was a huge number, and the percentage difference for the NPP in that particular region is the highest in Ascent Central, which is 29.11. So you can safely say that based on the 2016 elections, Ascent Central is the strongest constituency for the NPP. Ekunfi is the strongest for the NDC. KEEA and Ebura Sebu Kwamankese are the weak constituencies for the NDC, and all the rest fell for the NPP, even though some were not with a big margin. For example, the Jumako Nyanisiam constituency.
So based on what you're saying, we are saying 13 constituencies that if the NDC pushes harder or the MPP plays not a good game, they are likely to switch, or either way switching from the Cape Coast North to the Ewutu Senya, Asin North, Gomwa East and Agona East, among others.
Yes.
I don't know whether now we can go into the dynamics of those constituencies and then look at how it's playing out.
If you look at the numbers, when we're doing the voter registration, realize that the parties were very, very alert, and they wouldn't let people register in constituencies, people they felt didn't belong in the constituencies.
Belong there,
so for example, let's take Ejumako Enyanisiam constituency. If you assume that there are about, say, 50 polling stations, this is just an assumption, right? And that each polling station, a party manages to get 10 extra people to manage, to register in those particular constituencies and would vote for the party and can convince one extra person to vote, you are looking at a little over 500, 550 people. Now with this difference, 680, any party that gets that 550, if it's the NPP, it's taking them to over 1,000. If it's the NDC, They are bridging this 680 gap to some 180 gap. So you may think that the numbers and the registration and the vigilance really didn't matter. But if you break the figures down and look at the overall in the country, we are going to have about 30-something thousand constituencies. If each party polling stations, if each party manages to get 100 people extra to register for each political party, right? Or one party manages to do that. That is 100 times 33,000.
Okay.
You're looking at how many votes. So that's how they do their calculations. So for constituencies like Ejumako, Enyanisiam, Cape Coast South, Mfantseman, Gomoa West, Gomoa Central, Agona East, Gomoa East, Asen North, Otu Senya West, Chifua Timokwa, and Cape Coast North. Any party that relaxes and doesn't do their homework and get to the people and be assured of the votes could lose their parliamentary seats and even their presidential winnings, because the differences are not much. We are looking at 8.62% difference and then 1.43% difference at the lowest point. So it's quite close in those areas.
Let's start with Cape Coast North, where the MPP had 20,360, the NDC 16,998 votes there. Currently, Cape Coast North, the battle is between Barbara Isi of the MPP and Kwamena Nyako of the NDC. What does it look like over there? Hello.
Well, Barbara Isi won quite comfortably in that constituency. But before that, Akufo-Addo, the president, at the time candidate, pulled some 20,360 votes, which represented 52.21% of the total vote count. John Mahama came in to back 16,998 of the votes cast, representing 43.59%. Barbara Asher AEC pulled 19,475, representing 49.78%. Kwabena Owusu, a champion who represented the NDC, bagged 16,309 votes, representing 41.69%. So whilst the NDC is changing its candidate, the MPP is maintaining their candidate, who is an MP and currently a deputy minister. She used to be deputy minister for education. I think she's now deputy minister for, is it Works and Housing? Or something like that. She used to be a teacher at Wesley Girls. And if you recall, prior to the 2016 election, she suffered an armed robbery attack or some attack in a home, whether it was armed robbery or targeted on a person, I'm not sure. And so when the president, then candidate Akufo-Addo, visited the central region, he paid a special visit on her. Or was it at the hospital or at her home? I'm not sure. But the president or the candidate, Akufo-Addo, specifically visited her. I was wondering why she would warrant such a visit, but it appeared that the MPP had that particular constituency or the person representing it in its plans. And it was no surprise that when the MPP won, she was made a deputy minister for education, later to be changed. You know, so that is how the constituency looks like.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the Cape Coast South, which is also a very interesting one. We have Kweko Ricketts-Hagen there, and then we have the mayor, Ernest Arthur, there as well. And then we'll look at other constituencies in the central region. But are you in the central region? Which constituency are you in? And who do you think is likely to win the presidential and parliamentary elections there? Send us a message via WhatsApp. The numbers are on your screen currently. Or you can send us a message via Twitter or Facebook. Remember to add the hashtag Voters Diary. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Grandma really knows how to take care of her family. Now, it's my turn. And like her, I only want the freshest food. I'm glad there's Samsung Twin Cooling Refrigerator, which retains 70% humidity, extending freshness up to 2 times longer. And with extended freshness, I can extend my care for my family.
After several weeks of competition and eviction on the Keyboard Idol stage, 7 talented contestants have made it to the Keyboard Idol Grand Finale. Which of the 7 talented contestants will win the ultimate prize of 10,000 Ghana cedis? Is it Calvin, Nanayao, Joel, Erajua, Uriel, Justice, or Nana Kweku? Let's find out in the final showdown on Saturday, 24th October 2020 as we crown the Keyboard Idol. Join us live on City TV at 6 p.m. prompt and witness all finalists as they play their hearts out one last time. Keyboard Idol is sponsored by Santo Energy, Asanka powered by Tech Aid and FaithWorks Music School, and is powered by City TV. Keyboard Idol, let the music play.
On the 7th of December, you will be going to the polls to elect a member of parliament. How well do you know your constituency?
We take a visit to the Awutu Senya East constituency of the Central Region. We are coming to you from the Inshayaso constituency in the Ashanti region. I'm still in the Aswanse constituency.
Political parties will be campaigning for your vote.
We have done almost about 80 to 90 different projects across the constituency.
There is no single school under any electoral area that has not seen the development of Honorable Muntaka.
But as a constituent, what will inform your choice of a candidate to represent you in parliament?
My party is my community. What program are you bringing in to solve my problem of my community?
Be involved in what concerns you. My name is Fremedu Nyame. Join me on the constituency for all you need to know concerning your socio-economic development. The constituency airs on City TV Mondays to Thursdays.
Comprehensive news. Your City Newsroom at 8 p.m. on City TV is your most engaging news bulletin on TV.
It's a very oh, that's too bad. The youth are still throwing stones. They are still throwing stones here into our direction. And can I come in? I want to come in. Okay.
Telling your stories better with correspondence covering every corner of the country.
Getting access to potable water is a daily struggle for residents of Kakichekopi and Balekopi communities in the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region.
City Newsroom at 8 p.m. Very fluent with issues that concern you.
This inquiry me come from Mr. Rabbi. Someone is in a bread. Told you kind of a 1 week. What do you say?
Is it unfair? What all this? What all this? We are dying! We are dying! We are dying for Choco!
With City Newsroom, your community is now connected.
In this our community, all of us, we are very sorry about this school. If we went and see the children, they are so small. Even my grandchildren are there. My grands outside there. If they come out from the school, I have this.
Every day at 8 p.m., City Newsroom is live on City TV.
So welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Kailok. I'm here with Salam Adono as well as Kojo Akoto Boateng. We're looking at constituencies in the central region where the two major political parties on the normal election day will battle it out. Not really a clear win for them. We've already started talking about Cape Coast North, where the battle currently is between Barbara Eyisi of the MPP as well as Kwamena Nyako of the NDC. But Salam, before I let you go, you know what Kojo did? Usually he would take us through the region, he would do the Google thing. Today he was doing cat and mouse here. So I forced him to give us an idea properly. So we see what that region looks like, and then we can also look at the various constituencies, which one belongs to which party, and then later we'll look at the key ones we are talking about that is usually a close fight. So could you show me what you got?
So this is the central region. If you look at where my mouse is hovering, this is Kaswa, which is part of the central region, but also part of the Greater Accra metropolitan area. So this is the Kaswa area. Now, I'll just take you through about 8 constituencies to give you a picture of the strong NPP constituencies, the strong NDC constituencies. So let's start from Ekumfi, which is home to Ekujus, which is former President Mills's home constituency. So this is the Ekumfi area. It's urbanizing, but the towns are not that big, right? So this is the Ekumfi area, shares a border with the Gomoa areas. And so this is the district capital for the Ekumfi district and the constituency. Now it's almost, it's to the south of the region. Now if you move from Ekumfi, you go to, so Ekumfi is strong NDC. So if you look at the color code for Ekumfi there, it's dark green, right? It's strong NDC. 12% for the NDC, that's the vote difference. Now, if you move from Ekumfi, you go to the Commander Edina area. Now, the KEA area is purely a coastal constituency. As you can see, there is the sea here. These are the fishing, the beaches, the communities, that's the sea. They've got quite a lot of fishing harbors spread around the constituency.
The fishing community.
Yes, yes. Okay. So this is the Commander Edina Eguafo Abrim area. Okay. This is Papakwesi Indom's area. You understand? And if you look at it very well too, there's a bit of farming that goes on in this area. These areas are farming areas that have been prepared for farming. So that's the area. Now you move, so this is down south, right? And it is light NDC, not a strong NDC constituency. Now if you move from Commander, you go to the Ebura Asebu Kwamankase area, which is almost in the middle. It's not too down south, it's not so, but it's tilted a bit to the south. So this is the area. Lots of towns, small towns which are growing up. So this is Asebu. So the constituency picks its name from 3 areas. So Asebu is one town and one area. There's the Ebura town. That is, and then you have towns like Abakrampa and all these other towns. And then there's also the Kwamankase area. So it took the name from those 3 towns. Now from there, so these are the 3 constituencies that the NDC won. Ekumfi is 12%, difference of 3,000 votes. KEEA 7.2%, and Ebura Asebu Kwamankase 1.21%. From there, let's go to the areas that the NPP won. So this is Ejumako Enyan Esiam, right? It's currently for the NDC. So it's Ejumako, no, the NPP won the presidential, and the parliamentary, the NDC won. Yes. That is Atuforsin. Yes. And it's the constituency with the least vote difference in the central region, right? So there's the Ejumako town, there's the Siam town, there's the Enyan Dentra towns and all those areas. Now 680 was the vote difference, and the percentage is 1.43. So as you can see, this is a light blue because it can swing anywhere. If Atuforsin does his work well, he may be able to swing it. If Rashid does his work well, he can unseat Atuforsin. Dr. Atuforsin versus Dr. Rashid, both have had some KNUST training one is a finance person, one is an environmentalist, and they are all relatively very young. So it's quite an interesting constituency. So this is the Ejumako Enyan Esiam constituency, also picking its name from the three main areas that gives it the character: the Ejumako area, the Enyan area, and then the Esiam area. So from Ejumako, we go on to some other constituency that the NPP won. This is Cape Coast South. So if you look at Cape Coast South, Cape Coast North, they were all won by the NPP, but it wasn't strongly won.
Yeah.
And the Cape Coast South is Cape Coast Municipal proper. So you see how urbanized it is. Now this is the Adisadel College. Adisadel College, this is the Adisadel College School Park.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Please, let us see. Well, there are disco people watching. They want to see. Mr. Loco and Co.
So this is the Adisadel College, well laid out with the trees all around it. And so this is the Cape Coast Municipal. Those who know the Fosu Lagoon know the role it plays when it comes to fishing and related matters. And so this is Cape Coast. There's Amamoma here, and there are some other areas in Cape Coast. Fort Victoria is here. If you want to see the Cape Coast Castle as well, maybe we can take a quick tour to the Cape Coast Castle. So this is basically the Cape Coast South area. Now
so
this
very
area,
cosmopolitan area.
very, very cosmopolitan. So if you look at it, it's a municipal area. It's not a district. It's a municipal area. Remember the Cape Coast Stadium story? Now this is the Cape Coast Sports Stadium.
Okay.
Yes. So it gives you a picture of how Cape Coast is configured and how Cape Coast is. So this is Cape Coast South. Now from Cape Coast South, let me take you into the Salt Pond area, then we'll go to the border constituencies. So this is Mfantseman constituency where recently the MP was murdered. So this is the Mfantseman area. It's also a coastal town, so fishing is one of the key things. A coastal constituency. Mfantseman, Salt Pond, Ankafu, all these areas, Komanse, they are all in that particular area. And then there's also Mfantseman in that particular area. So this is the Mfantseman town. For those of you who have never been to Mfantseman, very big town. This roundabout is very, very busy. This area is the market area, also very busy. And the historians tell us that this was the original Fanti capital, Mfantseman, or Mfantseman, the big town or the big capital. So, so when you enter the town, you see Obunumankuma, Odapajan, and Osun. You see their statues. In the Mfantseman area. So from Mfantseman, let me take you up north, the central region, for you to see other areas. This is Upper Dentra East. So Dunkwa, the Ofin River is here. So as you can see, if you can see very well, when we do reports on Galamsey, this is one of the areas. So have you seen the excavations and the pollution to the Ofin River? And there are lots and lots of Galamsey pits all over this area. So all these are Galamsey pits that people have dug.
So this is a mining area.
It's a mining area.
Politics will be around the Galamsey issues and all that.
Used to be agrarian because it's to the northern part, almost close to the Ashanti region, with a beautiful river Ofin, which supplies the area with enough water for agric. But Galamsey has taken over the area. And then from there, we move to the area that the MPP got the most when it comes to the percentage difference. That's the Asin Fosu area, Asin Central. So this is Asin Fosu. From Asin Fosu, you can come down and branch into Asin Kushia, which is the hometown of Sir Sam Jonah. Sir Sam Jonah's brother is the chief of or king of Asin Kushia, Nana Prajin same. So that area is also very critical. Asin Fosu, more like a buffer zone. Ashanti to the north, the Fantis to the south, that same Mansu area. If you remember your heritage caravan story very well, that's about the last point that slaves were taken to have their last bath before they are taken to the castles. So that's also a bit of taking you around the central region. So we've seen the south, we've seen the middle, and this is the northernmost parts of the central region.
Okay. So now please take us to Cape Coast South. Cape Coast South, where we'll continue our discussions with.
Well, so, I mean, before we get to Cape Coast South, so we're talking about Cape Coast North, where Barbara AEC is the member of parliament for the area. So we said that she'll be coming up against Dr. Kwamina Mintanyako, who is the NDC's candidate for the area. He's a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, also known as Raga. you know, and you know, he ran unopposed in their primaries after two of his contenders, potential maybe, could not file, so he went unopposed, and at the Sadell College alumnus. So I mean, maybe you have some have something in common there. You know,
I
so
didn't go to Adisco.
So I mean, he's done quite a number of things. He was at University of Leicester, and he's also a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the United Kingdom. So Cape Coast itself has two constituencies: the north and then the south. So the north is what we've dealt with. We have the south also, where where Ricketts Kweku Hagan is the current member of parliament, former regional minister, former deputy minister for finance, former deputy minister for trade and industry. Many have said that he was moved to the region because it was generally thought that the party's chances in the region were getting slim and slimmer. So he was moved there quickly to see if he could salvage something. But maybe he went there a bit too late. But what he succeeded in doing was he tried to hold on to that seat, because we started by saying that Cape Coast had 5 constituencies which voted skirt and blouse. So Cape Coast South was one of those constituencies. So where Ricketts Hagan was, in the presidential election, Nana Akufo-Addo won, albeit with a slim margin, but in the parliamentary, NDC, through Ricketts Hagan, won that seat. So he was a regional minister. The advantage of incumbency perhaps was there. And one thing he did was he provided free bus for students in the area to go to school, students of all ages. So he provided buses, advantage points to ferry the children to school. And it's been said generally that that particular thing he did worked a lot, because the parents felt that if he lost the election, he was going to stop, you know, the free bus service. So they thought it wise to vote for him so he could continue. Whether he's continuing or not, I'm not sure. But of course, now schools are not in session, so we are unable to tell. So that is the Cape Coast North and South constituency.
Okay. Before you move to so with what you've told us about the two candidates, who they are and all that, the figures and all that, what does it look like now and moving into the elections? Because it's very close, that particular constituency.
Yes,
what does it look like?
It will continue to be close because of the very nature of that particular region, and given that historically the gaps have not been very huge. Indeed, I remember in 2004, I was in the University of Cape Coast at the time. You know, normally, I mean, the student population did a lot for the elections. So in the town, generally, Barton Odro was then trying to get into parliament. He had tried a few times, he wasn't successful. In 2004, we heard he had won in town, so we could hear jubilation in town, etc. But I know students who vote late into the night, very thick queues, etc. So by the following morning, I mean, the students' vote had overturned the results, so Barton Odro lost. So later on, a new constituency was created, and Cape Coast actually was the seat that the very influential Christine Churcher occupied. Very, very influential. I think she's the chairperson of the Ghana Gas Company now. Very influential woman in the MPP. That was the seat she occupied. So she occupied the seat for a number of terms before she eventually stepped down. Barton Odro then took over, did 2 terms, became Deputy Attorney General, became First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, stepped down. And for Cape Coast North, where he eventually ended, Barbara Isi took over. Then at the south side, we had Ricketts Hagan taking over from there and then going. So as we speak, Cape Coast North, as I said, Kwamina Minta-Nyakun will be running against the incumbent Barbara Asha Isi. In Cape Coast South, Kweku Ricketts Hagan will be going against Ernest Atta, Mayor Ernest Atta. And that promises to be a good fight, given the very nature of that constituency and the resources at play. It's a close call. It will be difficult to sit here and say that Ricketts will win or Ernest Atta will win, but it's certainly one of those constituencies to look out for, especially as in 2016, MPP won the presidential and then NDC won the parliamentary. It'll be interesting to see how that constituency will play out in 2020.
Okay.
If you look at how the parties are approaching the central region, for example, the NPP, Nana Akufo-Addo has been to the central region, has driven through Cape Coast and gone to the various parts of the region to promise different things. Some development has also gone to the area. Remember the popular Ekonfi juice? I think it's something that the MPP will keep mentioning in their industrialization drive, 1 District 1 factory, right? There is also Casa de Ropa around the Winneba area, and there are a couple of other companies in the area. So the MPP will push the districts and the factories that they've been able to put in the area, plus free senior high school, and the other promise that they've put through. Now, the NDC has Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who is a daughter of the town. They've used the late Emisata. There was the late Professor Mills from the Central Region. Now there is Nana, who is also the first woman to be selected by a major political party to be running mate. So the dynamics are really interesting, and the region looks as though we are going to see the trend we've seen over the past elections. It's going to be head-to-head. Whoever gets, you get a small loophole, you jump, you maximize, and you could turn it around for yourself. Because a lot of the constituencies as we've run through, NDC has only one strong constituency from 2016, 2 weak ones. NPP has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So practically, the two parties are fighting for 13
seats, yeah.
Constituencies that could go either left or right. So it's a very, very interesting region.
And the interesting thing about the Central Region and the NDC is that since 1992, the NDC has had somebody from the Central Region on the ticket. So in 92, we had Akar, who is a native of the area, on the ticket. In 96, Mills came on the NDC ticket as running mate. In 2000, Mills was on the ticket as a candidate himself. 2004, Mills again from Central Region as a candidate. 2004, Mills again on the candidate from Central Region as a candidate. In 2012, following the death of Professor Mills, Pakwesi Emisata was on the ticket again as somebody from the Central Region. 2016, the election the NDC lost, Pakwesi Emisata again was on that ticket. And then in 2020, we see Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman also on that ticket. So it appears that the NDC is kept fit with the region.
But it's not really showed in the way they vote, does it?
The region hasn't reciprocated that trust perhaps the NDC has had in the region for whatever reason we are yet to see. But it's interesting. Could you mention the Kumfi area? The Kumfi area is a particularly interesting one, given that they've received one of the E-blocks, the Jomahama community senior high schools, and indeed they are actually a test case for the 1D1F. The Kumfi Juice factory appears to be the most successful, arguably, 1D1F factory, so 1D1F zones. So here they are, they have a community senior high school, and they are also beneficiaries of the 1D1F. Interestingly, their MP in 2018 was chased away by angry residents over what they described as failed promises, because according to them, he promised to give them jobs, he promised to do a lot of things for them, but they've not seen anything like that. And if perhaps the NDC is able to put its house in order properly, they may do well and take back that seat, since they won the presidential but lost the what's the name, the parliamentary. And given that that is the hometown of the beloved Professor Mills of the NDC, the party may want to do whatever it can in its power to ensure that it fully owns that constituency.
Okay, this, let me take a few messages. Kogito says, I was born and lived all my life in Cape Coast South, and I can say the constituency had nothing to show during the 12 years of Christian Churcher. In 2012, Kweku Rekithagen of the NDC won, and his first term saw a massive improvement in the constituency. Social interventions were enormous. However, his second term is quite slow, maybe because his party is not in power. The development of Cape Coast South cannot be said without the mention of Ebo Bartonodru. In my opinion, 2020 elections in the constituency will be won by the NDC, you say. Okay, this one says, former President JDM lost because of what we were told by the NPP Hopefully, this time round they'll win, you say. This one says, good afternoon. My name is Zubiru from Ashalibotre, a suburb in the Adenta constituency. After a thorough review of the track records of the MPP and NDC, I strongly believe that both parties have nothing to give to the people of Ashalibotre. So this year we'll vote for the Ghana Union movement, you say. Okay, good for you. So I think most of you are talking about who you vote for. But our time is almost up. We can quickly start with Mfantseman because of it's become it's already a popular constituency, but has become more popular because of the tragic incident recorded over the past few days. So Mfantseman, now we know initially we had Hayford going for the MPP. He was killed, and his wife is now going to go there. But Mfantseman, what's special about this constituency, Kojo?
Well, Mfantseman, difference from 2016 elections, NPP got 28,000, NDC got 25,000. If you check the difference, really 2,588. Percentage is 4.56. We've been told that the late MP did a lot of work in the area, and he had really pushed for the party. That's why the NPP decided to retain the wife. The other thing I've noticed about the constituency is that during the NPP parliamentary primaries, there was James Kosa Brown, somebody that is not being mentioned enough. James used to manage Sarkodie, Chemfe, and all those Tema musicians. He's a banker. And Afashe, the festivals they used to organize, he used to put a lot of money and bring in a lot of things together for the festivals to be grand. Now, James lost and partnered the late MP to keep pushing. And if you read some of his posts on social media, he's still bent on pushing the party. He's not one of those people who lost and wants to sit aside. So I believe he's going to support the wife of the late MP to push. Now, the constituency is interesting. The votes range is not that big, but I have a feeling, and this is just a feeling, not backed by any data, people will vote for the MPP in the constituency because of the demise. You know, people react to two emotions, extreme happiness, extreme sadness. So that there may be sympathy votes like we've seen in other areas. And if after that vote, the wife of the late MP keeps pushing, maybe she can keep that particular seat for the MPP and make it one of the NPP strongholds in the region. Okay, so the margin was just by 4.56%, quite low, which is very low. So after Ejuma Kon, Cape Coast South, you come to Mfantseman. So those were the constituencies that the weakest three constituencies for the MPP in the central region in 2016.
And that's the constituency where we had Aquinas, Aquinas at the time.
Who was the regional minister?
Yes, was the regional minister at the time. I think it was fisheries.
It's the same constituency that we had Stephen Asamoah Boateng as the member of parliament, and Stephen Asamoah Boateng became the information minister. So that constituency, I mean, so it also, in that Asamoah Boateng election in 2004, it also had this NDC stalwart, Jojo Bruce Pansa, also contesting. So it's a constituency with a lot of big names, and all eyes will be on that constituency, given the particular circumstance of this election.
The parliamentary candidates last election won with 26,000 votes. The NDC opponent got 26,000. So this one got 26,747. This one got 26,021. 46.8% against 45.5%. And if you look at the presidential, 49.79% against 45.23%. So even the parliamentary was closer than the presidential. So they need to really push NDC MPP, because this could go either way if the people don't give in to the sympathy votes.
So it will be interesting because, I mean, just a few votes separate the two candidates, the two sides in terms of parliamentary. So yes, Kojo talks about the woman, you know, succeeding the husband, but there are people who will go down there and say that it's a seat for the whole constituency. It's not a family seat. It's not a husband and wife seat. So if your husband was on it, the unfortunate thing happened, he left, it doesn't mean you necessarily deserve to be there. So we will deal with it, you know, on the merits of it. And even for the fact that the wife is representing the party succeeding the husband, some people may even not like it. On the other side, others for that reason, may even vote for her. So we wait to see, how these dynamics play out.
But guys, thank you so much. Salam Adonu, head of features and articles here at City FM and City TV, and Kojo Akoto Boateng, head of new media at City FM and City TV. Tomorrow, we'll continue the conversation. We'll look at the 10 other constituencies that the two major political parties are fighting hard to keep. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. We'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Voter's Diary is sponsored by Samsung. Samsung, inspire the world, create the future.